Well, folks, it is year number 8, brought to you by the Baseball Boys. This year's going to look a little bit different than previous years, but here we are, and here I am trying to make sense of all of it. So, first thing on the agenda, Sunday, March 17th, 7 p.m., the coveted draft. The one night where we are all in the same place at the same time, talking smack to each other's faces, rather than behind the closed doors of an interview. A safe space, some may call it. And we're less than 2 weeks away. I've talked to a couple of the coaches already, and it seems like they have been doing a fair amount of thinking and planning and really putting together what they want to do this season and what their season's going to look like and how they can accomplish that through the draft. Now, the waiver wire has been very important. Free agents have been very important in past years, but it does seem like a lot of the coaches want to really set their team up for success from the beginning rather than having to add all those pieces in as the season goes on. This year we do bring in 2 new teams. There are 2 expansion teams to the Baseball Boys. We're going from a 10-man league to a 12-man league. I do believe this is the biggest that we've had the league. It's had some ups and downs in its early years back in 2016, 2017, 2018. But we do welcome the Svenska, Vikingers, and Richards Remarkable team. Now, this league has kind of been split, right? We've had some rookie teams really succeed early on, until people kind of figure out who they are and what they're trying to accomplish. But we've also had some rookie teams really struggle. So we're going to be keeping an eye on those 2 teams this year. Hopefully get some interviews with them, a little bit into the season once they get their feet underneath them. This year's playoff format, we are going to have 6 teams in the playoffs. Both division winners will get byes. There will be 2 weeks per game, which has kind of how it's always been, and that's been something that we decided to keep the same this year. There is going to be a limit on free agent signings during the playoffs this year. This year, it will be limited to 12 free agent signings per matchup. So every 2 weeks, you will get 12 free agent signings, and once you do that, you are kind of stuck with what you got until the next matchup if you move on. The tiebreaker this year for the playoffs will no longer be record against. It will now be points for. So the higher scoring team will make the playoffs in the event of a tiebreaker, or previous seasons, it has been the head-to-head matchup between those 2 teams who had the better record. Some rule changes going into effect for the season. Waiver pickups have been extended to 3 days. In previous seasons, it has been 1 day. The conversation kind of around that being it didn't give other teams good enough chance to pick up a player if they were ahead of another team in the wire. That has been extended to 3 days. So when picking up, for instance, a starting pitcher on the waiver wire, remember that you will not have that player for 3 days. The trade deadline is going to be the very last week of the season. I believe it's week 19. Don't quote me on that. And then we have had some points changes. Statistical pitching holds will be worth 2 points this year, and a hit by pitch for batters will now be worth 1. Both of those are brand new. No other changes as far as, points or free agents during the season. It's just that waiver, the trade deadline, and then the points change with those 2 stats. We're going to see how this season goes. It's year 8. The season is pretty rock solid. We'll see how these 2 rookie teams can do. We're going to see how Tyler can do in his first full season. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to have some good headlines, hopefully some good rivalries start budding. We already have a couple. I reached out to a couple coaches just to get their comments on what this season is going to look like. And it seems as though they already got their eyes on very specific teams. So we'll see what happens with that.